gang? Andrew Cooper here, Fantasy Alarm. We're on the Better Sports Network, sponsored by FFPC. And today, behind the glass with me, special guest. Earndog is out, and my boy Keith is here with us. Chief Keith, aka Keith Sweat. From those that remember from the morning show days, from the FYF morning show days. Shout out Luke in the chat. Shout out everybody trickling in. I spent 5 days a week, 3 hours a day hanging out with my boy Keith. It's always good to see him, man. So going to be a good show, special show. And here's what we do for those unfamiliar on this show every single week. We break down the important usage metrics from this past week. Tell you who played, who didn't, who got pass snaps, who got run snaps, who spent time blocking on pass plays, who was out there for 2-minute drill. All the important things that get you set for the week, right? We do this today. Tomorrow, Howard Bender and I, we go through and we do all your waiver questions. Wednesday, we do all your trade questions. Thursday, we do all your lineup questions. Friday, we break down the slate. We get everybody in. We do an FFPC lineup. Airtight week. It's an airtight week here from 1 to 3, and it starts with this. This is the most important show. And yeah, Jack, I feel you, brother. Crazy day for sure yesterday. Absolutely crazy day yesterday. And there's a lot we need to break down, a lot we need to go through. So why not just get right into it? Why not get right into it? Arizona Cardinals first. What we're going to do is go team by team, starting alphabetical order by city. Cardinals first. In the show sheet, in the timestamps on the show, we're going to have every breakdown. So if you're joining us now and you're just starting at the beginning and you only want to see the usage for, Parker, Washington, just skip right to that game. All right. It should all be in the timestamps. So what's up? Ani Coop in the chat. How we doing? Good game for your Rams, even though they didn't win. And nice to see Cooper Kupp back. So we're going to get to all that, baby. Let's go. So Arizona Cardinals, man, we were hoping that Michael Wilson would take a step forward, and he did to some degree. Now, to me, the usage is more important than the targets, more important than the production. I'd rather see my guy play a big snap share and get like 2 targets and do nothing with them than go out there and score 1 touchdown on 1 target and play like 5 snaps, because that doesn't translate, man. Like that doesn't translate to success moving forward. It doesn't hold, right? So Marquise Brown, he went out, played 52 snaps, got 10 targets. Obviously, we love that. Michael Wilson came out, 43 snaps, ran 29 routes. That's ahead of Rondale Moore and only a couple fewer than Marquise Brown. So Michael Wilson, if you picked him up this week, you spent the fab on him. I know he only got 2 targets. Definitely hold on to this guy. There are better days ahead, and his usage, the fact that he's a full-time player already pretty much as a rookie, that's big time, right? Zach Ertz, he did what he does, goes out, plays, 43 of 57 snaps. Keith, brother, I can hear you trickling around, whatever you're doing there. Dude, I love you, Keith, man. Never change, dude. Never change. Come on the mic, say what up real quick. What's up, dude?
I was chewing food at the moment. Sorry about that.
Dude, I can't believe you, bro. I cannot believe you. For old time's sake. Oh man, unbelievable.
Listen. What is it? What is this without me eating behind the scenes? Old times.
Dude, you are the best, Keith. You are the best, man.
Sorry, brother.
No, all good, man. All good, dude. Thanks for everything that you and Ernie do, man. You guys couldn't do this stuff without you guys. So, anyway, back to it. Get the heck out of here, man. So, yeah. Zach Ertz did what he usually does, plays a decent amount, 43 snaps on 57. Target's going to be there sometimes they're not, right? So Ertz is a guy, he's boring, but he's safe. You can count on him, and he's the exact kind of guy that lets us do yin and yang tight end and find these breakouts, because you need a guy you can start while on the bench you've got the Luke Musgraves and the Sam Laportas and the Dalton Kincaids and these guys that aren't quite, Laporta's doing it now, but guys that you can't necessarily trust, but we're holding on to them, hoping they break out down the stretch the way Amon-Ra St. Brown did as a rookie, right? People forget he was droppable. He was dropped in a ton of leagues. He didn't do anything really till his usage changed in week 11. And then week 13, he blew up. So that's what we're doing with all these guys. Even Kincaid still. We're waiting to see if maybe he can take that step forward. If he never does, he never does. But you got to give yourself a chance at upside. So that's how we're living. James Conner in this game got hurt. We mentioned it last week. I straight up said, you have to know the name of Amari DiMercato because Keontae Ingram's out and James Conner has gotten hurt every single year he's played. Every single time he's gotten hurt at least one time. And if Keontae Ingram's going to remain out and James Conner's going to be out, That's the guy. Amari DiMercato came out, played 44 of 57 snaps, 10 carries. Unless they go out and sign somebody, a Leonard Fournette or somebody off the street, that's going to be your guy. So keep an eye on James Conner, his health, see what happens there. It's a knee, they're saying. So we're going to get more information next couple of days. Next team, we're going to go again. We're going in order here. Atlanta Falcons, 76 snaps, so above average. Average is 65 or so. So 76 means above average game script. Couldn't really trust Mac Hollins going into this game, but Daryl Hodge played more than him. So it truly is a situation where you trust Drake London, and then they use so many 2 tight end sets that I guess you use Kyle Pitts or Johnny Smith if you're going to, but that's it. You can't trust any other wide receivers, not really even for a dart throw in DFS. If Mac Hollins is going to play 29 of 76 snaps, useless. So Kyle Pitts came out, ran 25 routes. Johnny ran 26. Pitts got 10 targets. Johnny got 7. Pitts is still probably going to be pretty frustrating for the time being in fantasy. Only ran 60% of the routes, right? So of a possible 39 dropbacks they had, Pitts only ran 25 routes. His knee is clearly not right. And until they switch out Desmond Ridder for Taylor Heineke, it's tough to start. But you got to stash this guy because if you have Ertz and Pitts, you just start Ertz and stash Pitts, or even start Pitts if you have to. But I'm not dropping this guy because what happens when his knee gets right, and what happens when they switch over to Taylor Heineke? Now it's wheels up, baby. Now it's wheels up. So got to keep an eye on that. Bijan Robinson, he got basically what they're doing is they're splitting the run work. Bijan had 14 carries. Algier had 17, but Bijan gets like all the pass work, right? He had 25 pass plays. 23 routes to only 9 for Algier. So got to love that for Bijan. He's locked in your lineup every single week. Algier, basically a handcuff plus that you use him for bye weeks or injuries if you have to, but what else can you do? Baltimore Ravens, 75 total snaps. Flowers was the only full-time wide receiver here. Zay Flowers was. Odell Beckham and Rashad Bateman both returned, but they didn't go right back to their full snap share. In fact, Nelson Aguilar played more snaps than both of them. So it should get back to the point where it's Flowers, Aguilar, where it's Flowers, Beckham, and Bateman. But for the time being, those guys aren't ready. So you really can't trust Odell or Bateman until we see that. And this is a show where I'll let you guys know. But as of right now, they're just not playing enough. Odell, if you have to pick one between Odell and Bateman right now, Odell ran 29 routes, Bateman ran 14, but that's out of a possible 45. So not even close to the full number. Mark Andrews, for instance, ran 44 of 45 routes. Zay Flowers ran all 45. So those are the guys you can trust. The other guys, until something changes, just dart throws. On the pass side, Gus Edwards got all the work last time. On the run side, Gus Edwards got all the work last time, but Gus, this time, he gets more run work, but in these game scripts, we're now finding out that Justice Hill is going to play more pass downs. He ran 18 routes compared to 11 for Gus. He got 4 targets. Gus got 0. So it's not going to be just the full Gus bus show. It's split. Gus on rundowns, Justice Hill probably skewing pass downs. That's the way it's going to be. Isaiah Likely, he's just a handcuff. We learned that no matter how many wide receivers get hurt, because multiple already did, he's not going to go out and play wide receiver for this team. So he only becomes relevant if Mark Andrews gets hurt. And if Mark Andrews does get hurt, I kind of trust him. We've seen him go out there, play big snap shares, basically play that role. So I'm in for it. We've got Buffalo Bills, 60 snaps. They were not happy with the turf. And I actually posted a video of it. It basically looked like they rolled a carpet out over the concrete over there. It was just rough, man. And they lost Matt Milano for the year. He broke his leg. It's hard to say whether the playing surface is to blame for that. I mean, of course, you can't just say that it wouldn't have happened on any field, but still got to stink for that team because that's the guy that covers tight ends for that team. So this team, historically, we would fade tight ends that go against them because of that player. They still have Jordan Poyer, but now tight ends are back on the menu. It's exactly like what happened with the Bears this week. Eddie Jackson is the guy that covers tight ends for the Bears. When Eddie Jackson is out, we moved Logan Thomas up to like tight end 8, and he's going to finish it easily as a tight end 1 this week. So, if Kyle Duggar were ever out for the Patriots, we'd do the same thing. So this team, you can't just go back and say, oh, the Bills are good versus the tight end because they just lost their guy that's good against covering the tight end. So now they're a team that we start tight ends against. Gabe Davis and Diggs, they played full snaps. This team uses so many 2 tight end sets that you can't trust Khalil Shakur or Deontay Hardy or Trent Sherfield. None of them. They each got 1 or 2 targets, so it doesn't even matter. And then Kincaid versus Dawson Knox. it's just not quite there for Kincaid. Last week, he ran more routes than Knox. This week, Knox ran more routes. And here's the rub. This week, they both just mixed and matched. Like, it's not like Knox is inline and Kincaid's in the slot. They're all over the place. Knox plays in the slot as well. He got more targets. Kincaid's on the back burner. I'm still trying to hold on to him where I can, but if you have to drop him for other options, you have to drop him because right now he's not being used like a full-time player. And it's starting to feel like if you're a Bills fan, you got to be frustrated because you wanted this team to go out and get more weapons, and they traded up in the first round for a pass catcher, and they're not even deploying the guy full-time. 32 of 60 snaps. I mean, what are you going to do? Like, how you can't trust that. So it's pretty rough. And then James Cook also kind of a rough week. Last week on this show, we talked about it where we liked that James Cook got the goal line carry, but he lost another portion of the job. He lost the part of the job where he was working on pass downs. Latavius Murray was taking more pass work and taking more of those snaps. And sure enough, this week, Latavius Murray did step in and play some of those pass blocking snaps. Now, James Cook still ran the most routes, which is good. And he still got the most carries, but it doesn't look good when he gets 5 carries. 5 carries for negative yards or whatever it was. So pretty rough. See you guys in the chat. What's happening? Dan, yeah, I see you, brother. Good matchup this week, dude. Good teams. I think both of our teams in that league are going to keep rocking. So we'll see what Myers does. I never count your chickens in this league, man. And Jacoby Myers is a player that can go out and have a monster day. We've seen it before. South Sky, what up, dude? Top of the morning. Niner gang. Got to be feeling good. And AS in the chat, who should I trade, Hopkins or Godwin for Fields? I have Richardson need a QB. I would trade Chris Godwin right now, honestly, because DeAndre Hopkins, he's been hurt. You're not going to get the full value for Hopkins. He's been hurt all year. He's at the ankle. This week he came out, and we're going to talk about him when we get to the team. Played a massive snap share, obviously looked good. I think you're not going to get a full value because they're going to look at it and say, oh, it's just one game. I think Hopkins has a lot more of those games coming. So if you have to do it, I'd trade Godwin for Fields if you can get away with it. It sucks that Richardson got hurt. We'll get to that. Carolina Panthers, next team on the docket. Chark, Thielen, Mingo, those are the guys. We've been waiting for this week to see what would happen. And boy, did I not expect it to be this drastic. So every week so far, there's been a player that's been out. Chark was out week 1. Then he came back, and then Mingo got banged up. Mingo's been out for a bit. Last week, Terrace Marshall had 10 targets. I saw all across the Twitter sphere, people were like, oh, sneaky play, get Terrace Marshall in there. Yeah, a little too sneaky because he actually played 0 snaps this week. Didn't even play. If you were wondering where he was there. I've got no information that he's been injured. He was not a healthy scratch. He was in uniform and available. Didn't play at all. DJ Chark played 70 of 71 snaps. Adam Thielen played 69 of 71. Mingo played 60 of 71. So they went heavy 3 wide receiver sets. It even used Laviska Shenault, as you guys saw, not only 17 snaps total, but he got 5 carries. So Shenault was mixing, he was mixing in, but more as like a gadget player. But yeah, Chark, Thielen, Mingo, those are your dogs for the time being, unless something comes out with Terrace Marshall to explain away this situation. Terrace Marshall just wasn't even utilized, not at all. Hayden Hurst, 42 of 71 snaps, just not doing it for us, man. I don't care if he scores a touchdown. I don't care if Tommy Tremble scores a random touchdown. Hurst only ran 26 of 43 snaps. He's not to be trusted. Not to be trusted. Also not to be trusted right now is Miles Sanders, clearly still dealing with the groin issue. Chuba Hubbard, Sanders got the pass work still to a certain degree, but it was split down the middle. I mean, 34 snaps for Chuba, 33 for Sanders. Can't really trust either of those guys. I'm not obviously dropping Miles Sanders because I hope he can get healthy and be the guy we were hoping he would be. And, he's clearly still getting targets, but this week only 1. So I don't know, man. That dude just needs to get healthy. We need him to just not play. Just don't play until you're healthy, Miles Sanders. And then we can start Chuba. And then when you get back, you can be the starter. That's what I want to see. Chicago Bears, DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, 56 snaps for Moore, 50 for Moondog. Obviously, DJ Moore went crazy. So got to be happy with that. Probably not going to be an every week thing, obviously, with the way he plays. But the thing about those guys, it was like, think about like early Tyreek Hill. He wasn't going off every week, but he was so good that when he did go off, that you couldn't afford to not have him in the lineup. So with DJ Moore, just got to put him in there, take the bad games if they happen, but you cannot miss out on these big games. There is no other wide receiver from this team I would trust. Equanimeous St. Brown, with Claypool gone, played 24 or 64 snaps. That was the second highest. Not something we can trust for fantasy. Cole Kmet, He had a nice day, 5 of 5 catches, including a touchdown, but the usage wasn't quite what we want. He only ran 24 of 33 routes. So Cole Kmet just still not quite the guy. And the Bears did something this week that is pretty dangerous for NFL teams to do. In fact, the Rams lost the Super Bowl to the Patriots in part because of this. Sorry, on Coop, my Patriots did beat your Rams in the Super Bowl, but the what they basically did is Mercedes Lewis played 22 snaps and ran 0 routes. Every time he was in the game, he was either a run play or he pass blocked. And those keys are things that teams can use if you're consistently doing it to get a huge advantage on you. The Patriots came out after that game and said that they knew that Tyler Higbee that year was essentially blocking on like 70% of his plays, and a huge percentage of them were run plays because they had Gerald Everett, and Gerald Everett was the pass down guy. So they leaned into that. All their players on defense knew that when Tyler Higbee's in the game, it's probably, a run, or he's probably not going out for a pass. And if Gerald Everett's in the game, it's likely a pass. And they use that to their advantage, to even just that slight advantage. So if you got a guy like Mercedes Lewis, where when he only goes in the game, it's a run every time, team's going to pick up on that. So they got to be careful with that. If I'm picking up on that and talking about it here, defensive coordinators know. Like if we're talking about it, then these guys know for sure. So just be very careful there. Khalil Herbert was the dog, but then he got hurt. Roschon Johnson left with a concussion. Roschon is likely to be back before Khalil Herbert. So Roschon probably needs to be a priority add here. If he can't go, I would expect Donta Foreman to be activated. Right now, he's a healthy and active for most games. If Herbert and Johnson are out, Foreman's a guy you can start. Otherwise, Roschon's the guy we want. And, he just has to clear concussion protocol. So keep an eye on that. Cincinnati Bengals. Trent Irwin filled in for T. Higgins. That's how they did it. In fact, Trent Irwin played more snaps than Tyler Boyd. He played on the outside. He got 10 targets because the Bengals were firing on all cylinders. It's obviously not going to be like this every week. The Bengals played 82 snaps. Again, the average is 65. We want to look out for games like this that are either way above or way below because it's not sustainable. The Raiders this year had a game where they only played 40 snaps, right? And everyone was like, oh, Josh Jacobs sucks, Devontae Adams sucks. Well, those aren't real games, right? Just like if a team goes out, plays overtime, and plays 100 snaps, you can't just look at it and say, oh, yeah, well, this guy, he got 5 targets this week. That's pretty good. But you have to look at how many plays they had, how many pass plays. Like this team had 51 pass plays. So for Trent Irwin to get 10 targets, that's not even an exceptionally crazy target share. It's like 20%, right? So don't go crazy with Trent Irwin. He's definitely a DFS play if T. Higgins is out, right? I mean, maybe even pick him up and start him if you have to in really deep leagues, but he's still Trent Irwin. Like you can't, he's not all of a sudden T. Higgins, right? And Jamar Chase got 19 targets. So you got to take it percentage wise. Trent Irwin doesn't get 10 targets unless Chase is getting 20. So if it's a game where Chase gets 10, Trent Irwin's getting 5, right? Or 1. So don't go crazy there. But this team is just one of the best in that standpoint because from what we do here, they usually just use the same 3 wide receivers every play and the same tight end and then the same running back. Mixon played 63 of 82 snaps, right? And now we know that if T. Higgins is out, Trent Irwin's going to play all those snaps, right? So great. This is the easiest team to analyze from that standpoint. You know who all the main characters are. They're not using 100 different guys. The other tight ends they use, so Irv Smith, you can't trust him because he only ran 33 of 51 routes. But the other tight ends they use, Drew Sample and Mitchell Wilcox, blocking tight ends, just big, chunky clunkies and not doing anything in the pass game. 0 targets combined between all the tight ends anyway. So who cares, right? But Drew Sample he played 28 snaps and only ran 9 routes. Mitchell Wilcox played 21, only ran 5. So those are the exact guys we talk about. When they're in the game, they're not in there to get the ball. All right. Cleveland Browns next team on bye this week. Dallas Cowboys, very, very interesting game script. Here's one on the other side where they only played 49 snaps, but they completely lied down in this game because they were pretty much done. So CeeDee Lamb only played 34. Like he didn't even play the whole game. Obviously, Cooper Rush went in for 10 snaps. So you really only got, they had 49 total snaps, which is crazy low compared to the 65 average. But I mean, you only got 39 of Dak Prescott, and that's what I count the real snaps to be. Once the starting quarterback comes out, the rest of the snaps do not matter to me. So, yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? And we haven't even really seen the Cowboys play a real game. Like, is this team going to play a real football game at any point? The Giants game was a complete wash, right? Then they played the Jets, and, Zach Wilson which was bad Zach Wilson at the time. Now he actually looks pretty decent. Then they played the Cardinals and beat them pretty easily. Then they destroyed the Patriots in what was not even a game. And now they got crushed by the 49ers in what wasn't a real game. Like, I literally don't even know what the identity of this team is because we haven't really seen them play a full game. We'll say this. CeeDee Lamb's the guy. Tony Pollard's the guy. Michael Gallup and Brandon Cooks pretty much play the rest of those snaps. They did bring in like Jalen Tolbert and Devontae Turpin and whoever. Jake Ferguson continues to not play the full snap, even when everyone's healthy and it's not a blowout on either side. He still mixes and matches. This week he ran 22 of 30 routes, which sounds terrible, but it's actually like the best usage he's had so far. And he only got 3 targets. He didn't have a good game. We've been warning you not to use this guy. But this week, he actually had the best usage, right? So this week actually has me a little bit, it's hard to say that I'm in, but like I want us to have more fantasy relevant tight ends. I want Jake Ferguson to play the whole game. I want him to run all the routes. 22 of 30 is bad, but it's better than what he's been doing because on the year, this guy's run less than 60% of the routes. His route participation is 31st for tight ends. So still hard to trust the guy. I don't start him in any of my leagues, but I'm rooting for him to play more just so we have more tight ends because we need more. So that's what's up there. Tony Pollard is the dude. Don't worry about the backups or any of that unless he goes down. Rico Dowdle did play more than Deuce Vaughn, but Deuce Vaughn's kind of been more exciting. So hard to say what you would want in that case. Before we get to the Broncos, got another question to chat. Scooby Taylor wants to know, should I trade away DJ Moore, Brian Robinson, and Zay Flowers for CeeDee Lamb and Tony Pollard? That's a big dog trade, man. That's a big dog trade. But if those guys are on your bench and CD and Pollard would go directly into your lineup, I would do that. I would do that because I trust CD even in the bad weeks versus DJ Moore, where he could be boom bust. He could be hit or miss. I mean, we love what we saw this week, but you will go back and watch some of those plays. The rookie corner, who I like, Joey Porter, he tried to make the play. He tried to break the pass up, but he didn't go for the upfield shoulder. They always tell cornerbacks go for the upfield shoulder so you can at least make the tackle if you miss the ball. Well, he went for the downfield shoulder and he went for the downfield shoulder and he missed the ball, which just turned into a monster touchdown. Like that is just not necessarily a great offensive play, more of a bad defensive play. So be very careful with that stuff, man. But yeah, I would do that trade. Take Lamb and Pollard, man. Go big. Got better days coming for those teams, those players. Denver Broncos, man. This is an exciting one because Jaleel McLaughlin, we talked about it. We don't like, if a guy gets hurt, we don't like when we just go to the end and say, oh, who's next on the depth chart? I'll just pick up whoever this guy is. We don't even know him, right? Whatever. But Jaleel McLaughlin, there was some smoke in the offseason. So we did like McLaughlin because we had already heard that they like this guy. Sure enough, he goes out, plays the Javonte Williams role and Samaje Perine. He maintained his own role on pass down. So McLaughlin got the carries. He's got some of the pass work, and Samaje Perine got most of the pass work and a couple carries. If it's going to be even split like that, then, in desperate situations, you might be able to start Jaleel McLaughlin. But when Javonte Williams comes back, he probably goes back to the bench, honestly. Even though he looked explosive, you just don't usually see guys lose their job that way. So, I don't know, man. I don't know if this is like the big breakout and he's just going to be a guy forever, or if he just played this week and, thank you for filling in. Appreciate you, but Javonte's back. So, but still worth throwing on a bench somewhere if you can afford it. Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton played 54 snaps each of 63. They're full-time guys. Brandon Johnson played 32. Marvin Mims only 20 still. They just won't unleash this guy. It drives me absolutely bonkers. Like, let the kid play. He looks good every time he has the ball in his hands. I don't know what he's doing wrong in practice or what he's missing, or maybe he's a terrible run blocker, but he only ran 12 of 41 routes compared to Jeudy, who ran like 39 of 41. So what are you going to do? And Adam Trotman, he blocks too much. You can't really trust a guy like that. He'll go out at times and block on 8-9 pass plays. Not to be trusted. Not to be trusted. So Adam Trotman, maybe in your DFS if he's crazy cheap, but not really ever interested in that. Detroit Lions went with a gross rotation at running back. Wide receiver. Basically, the game was kind of out of hand. Like, they won by 20 points. So, you mix guys in, but no one really played the full game. They played 60 total snaps. The leader in snaps was Marvin Jones with 36. Josh Reynolds only played 28. Jameson Williams played 28. Khalif Raymond played 29. So I don't know. I think you can still trust Josh Reynolds with Amon-Ra St. Brown out. And, Jameson Williams is I have him on a ton of benches because he was an incredible player before he got hurt, and maybe he can be again. So we got him in a few spots, but we have to see him ramped up. 28 snaps this week, which is about half the game, 50% snap share. If next week he gets up to 60, 70%, now we can think about starting him because who knows? He could go all the way up to being a full-time player very quickly. And guys like that, that's exactly what we want. Unknowns, right? There's so many guys like Khalif Raymond, even Josh Reynolds. We know what he is at this point. Jameson Williams could be a super megastar because we haven't seen him. We've seen him play a couple snaps last year coming off a torn ACL, not even at 100%. I'm not going to judge him based on that. And we need to see what he's like when he's fully healthy. He could be awesome, so don't rule it out. Speaking of guys that are awesome, Sam Laporta, very much awesome. The one thing for Laporta is he still blocks on a couple pass plays, 4 pass plays again this week, which I don't like. I want to see him just running every single route, but he ran 25 of 30. That's pretty good. He played 52 of 60 snaps. He's in your lineup every week, man. He's a hit. He's a hit. He's what we were hoping Dalton Kincaid would be, right? I mean, we had Sam Laporta in the article too, the yin and yang tight end article, but he's taken his role and he's wrong with it, dude. So Sammy Laporta, wheels up, baby. Let's go. David Montgomery, awesome. 45 of 60 snaps. His only problem was being too good this week. The team was too good. It was too much of a blowout. Otherwise, Dave Montgomery would have been a great spot to crush. 19 carries, though. That's pretty good, dude. And they just brought in Craig Reynolds for mop-up. If the Panthers could keep it close, then Montgomery would have had an even bigger day. So that's pretty nice there. Green Bay plays tonight. Next on the list, Houston Texans at 59 snaps. So Tank Dell left this game with a concussion, unfortunately. We had him in our FFPC lineup, and now is actually probably a good time to just take a quick peek at that. So for those out there that are unfamiliar, the platform we love to play on for weekly is FFPC. If you go over to my FFPC, in fact, and use promo code Coop, they'll give you $25 when you deposit 35 or more. I suggest depositing 45 or more. If you deposit 45, they give you 25, gives you $70. There's 2 buy-in levels, $35 or $200. So if you deposit 45, they give you 25. Use promo code Coop. Then you can play 2 weeks in a row with $35 lineups. You can play 10-team leagues, 30-team leagues, or 100 teams. I like the 31. That one, besides last week with Sam Wagner, where our team was just dog water, we're usually in it. We're usually at least going into Monday night where we have a chance, right? So, I'll pull up our lineup here. It's going to be tough for us to compete this week. We're in the mix. Right now we're ranked just outside the top 10 or so, but there's enough teams that have guys still going that it could be tough. And here's the beauty of this. There's no salary cap. There's no draft. You just basically pick all the guys that you want. It's the same as their playoff format, except it's just 1 week. And the one rub is you can't pick 2 players from the same team, which I like that, man. It's like I hate when I go into regular DFS and I lose because somebody just stacked up a ton of Dolphins, or they stacked up a quarterback and a wide receiver that scored 3 touchdowns, like Fields. People stacked Fields and more, then you were just done, right? So I like this because you can't do that. If you start Tyreek Hill, you can't start Tua. What we decided to do this week is we started Tua, 22 points, right? So my team's on the left. The team that's winning right now currently is on the right. So our quarterback and Mahomes, even. We both started Breece Hall, so that's even. Bijan got 12 points. McCaffrey got 14. Pretty close. We both started Tank Dell. We have Tank Dell down here in the flex. He got a concussion, so that hurt both of us. But, this guy's winning, and he has Tank Dell. The difference is he started Tyreek Hill. We started Justin Jefferson. We couldn't have started Hill because we started Tua. But, hey, in any given week, you think these guys are going to be even, but Jefferson got hurt. So what are we going to do? Travis Kelce went off. Our tight end did better than his tight end. We both had Jamar Chase in the lineup with 52 points. Had to be done. A.J. Brown versus Mark Andrews, pretty close there. He went with 2 tight end set. I love that for him. And then his defense just destroyed our defense. That's the difference in these. It's so close, right? It's so tight where this guy is currently in first place and we're in looks like 11th or 12th. We still have a player left, but so do they. So we're just going to leave Devontae Adams. We might have to pivot, actually, because he probably has Devontae Adams. So we need to go with a sneaky play. what I'm probably going to do here is pivot to like Jacoby Myers and hope he has Devontae Adams and Adams has a bad game and Myers has a big game. And that's how we can make the difference up. It can happen. It can happen. So if everybody that's left is Adams and we're going Myers, those are the pivots you can make, and you can make them on Monday, just going into the end. I'm going to try and load up more Monday players just to have that. I like that. That's a fun narrative there. So if you want to play this with us, I mean, you could start super mega star squads. There's big money to be made. You can win entries into the Fantasy Pros championship next year if you win a 10-man league. So definitely check that out. Use promo code Coop and with the first time depositors at myffpc.com. Deposit 35 or more, they'll give you 25. So this one probably not going to win this week, but we're going to get one. We're going to get one. And on Friday, during the Friday show, which is the fun one where we break down the slate, we'll be making another team. So it's going to be good times all around. I see you guys in the chat. We got a Twitch gang in the chat. Got to get the Twitch glasses out. Leo Ramu, what's up, dude? Trade Christian Kirk for Ayuk? Yeah, I would trade Christian Kirk for Brandon Ayuk right now. Brandon Ayuk looks awesome. And the other thing, which we'll talk about when we get to the 49ers, is they use that fullback, man. They use Kyle Juszczyk. Anytime you use a fullback on that many snaps, it takes the wide receiver 3 right out of the game. Just take him, throw him away. If a team uses a fullback, that's my philosophy on fantasy football. Team uses a fullback, wide receiver 3 is dead to me, man. Just get him out because you're not going to take out, when you put the fullback in the game, you're not going to take the tight end out. You're not going to take the running back out. You're not going to take Debo out. You're not going to take Ayuk out. So it's like Juwan Jennings or whoever, they go away. Same, the Dolphins run the same exact offense, which uses Alec Ingold the way they use Kyle Juszczyk. Who's the wide receiver 3 over there? Who cares? It's Waddle, it's Tyreek Hill, it's a fullback, and then it's Durham Smythe. Durham Smythe got 0 targets this week. I mean, no better way to consolidate targets. So, and this team we're looking at right now, the Houston Texans, the problem you run into with Nico Collins, Robert Woods, Tank Dell, John Mechie is that they like Andrew Beck. They've had 59 total snaps. Fullback Andrew Beck played 29, and he's not playing in place of the running backs. He's playing in place of a wide receiver. That's why Nico Collins played 52 snaps of 59, but no other wide receiver played more than 40. So ideally, it settles out. In an ideal world, we'd have like Nico Collins and Tank Dell as full-time players, and then they use the fullback, and then we get highly consolidated targets. But right now, they're mixing and matching. Tank Dell left with the concussion, so it was Robert Woods, and then Mechie played more snaps, but Mechie generally doesn't play very much. So that's what we want from this team. For now, Nico Collins is a guy you can trust because Tank Dell's hurt. When Tank Dell's healthy, you can mix him in depending on the matchup. Nico Collins is going to get another bad matchup this week. He just dealt with A.J. Terrell, which was tough for him. Now he's going to get Marshawn Lattimore. So 2 down weeks for Nico Collins. If Nico Collins has another down week this week, go out and buy him because – he's not going to face top tier corners every week. You have to deal with this sometimes. So that's the way that's going to be. Dalton Schultz, he played London game this week. Dalton Schultz played 35 of 59 snaps, only ran 25 of 35 routes. Gross. So 10 targets, that's going to trick a lot of people into thinking this guy plays a lot when he really doesn't. And he hasn't for a while. He goes in the same category as Hayden Hurst for me, where if they were playing the entire game, it'd be so much easier for me to sit back and say, yeah, you know what, I like that. But with Schultz, because he plays partial snaps and, just randomly got 10 targets here because of matchups, don't love it, man. And then Dameon Pierce, man, he finally got a script where, they had a lead for a good chunk of it, even though they ended up losing. But Pierce, 20 carries, that's the script you want because he never runs a ton of routes. He only ran 10 routes. Devin Singletary ran 15. Mike Boone ran 5. He's just not a full-time guy. So what are you going to do there, man? What are you going to do? Indianapolis Colts, 57 snaps, so below average. Anthony Richardson got hurt, man. And this time it's a shoulder. So it's last time he had the concussion, he just cleared protocol, came back. This time he's expected to miss multiple games. It sucks, dude, because I was really banking on him in a lot of leagues, man. He was a big part of some squads there. So that's going to be tough for me, but maybe I'll go for Minshew if I can't find anything better. Whether you need Minshew or not in your leagues. For wide receivers, the split is still fairly annoying, man. What we want, Michael Pittman plays every snap. He leads all wide receivers in snap percentage. He did last year too. So Michael Pittman, you can trust every single week. I mean, they played 66 plays and Pittman played 66, right? 100%. So on the year, he's at like 99.3 or something. So you can trust him every week. Alec Pierce goes out and also plays a ton of snaps. He played 65 of 66, but he is just the all exercise team captain. Maybe he'll be better with Minshew, but they have no interest in throwing him the ball. He's 6'4, crazy fast. He's basically the same guy as DJ Chark, but they just don't like throwing the ball. Josh Downs, they do like throwing the ball, but he plays a limited snap share, only 47 to 66. Last year, Paris Campbell lined up in the slot for 3 wide receiver sets and then stayed on the field for 2 wide receiver sets, and Alec Pierce came out. That's what I want for Josh Downs. I I just wish they would look at it the way they did last year and have Josh Downs be the full-time guy and Pierce be the part-time guy. That's the usage that Keenan Allen gets, Cooper Kupp gets, all these guys get. They don't want to do it right now. So until then, Downs hasn't hit his ceiling. I'm still stashing Downs everywhere and starting him in some places because I hope that we get to that point. But right now, even with 6 targets where Pittman got 7, he's not at the best he could be. He only ran 23 routes, whereas the other guys each ran 28. So just keep that in mind. We have not seen peak Downs yet, and it could be coming. Trade for him in Dynasty, get him on some rosters, man. This guy's a baller. I hope that he gets to that point, but he might not this year. Simple as that. Andrew Ogletree played 40 snaps at tight end, only ran 9 routes. Gross. Kylan Granson played 26 snaps, ran 12 routes. So pretty clear what they want to do. They're mixing and matching the tight ends, and it's going to hurt both of them. But clearly Granson skews pass and Ogletree skews run. Hopefully Jelani Woods comes back and just is the full-time guy. So I'm stashing Jelani Woods in some IR spots where I can. I think you should do the same just to see. I might end up just dropping the guy right out of my IR spot if he comes back and doesn't get the full role, but the upside is there. The potential is there. So got to stash guys like that. Jonathan Taylor, Zach Moss, everyone saw what happened, right? 10 snaps for Taylor, 53 for Moss. So they just gave Taylor all this money. Moss, fighting. This game was Moss's chance to prove that he deserves to play. He deserves a contract from another team. Maybe even deserves to get traded if they want to do that. And he came out and he proved it. I see you in the chat, Troy. What's up, dude? Zach Moss, the GOAT. I mean, dude, he was unreal. He was unreal. Maybe they should have had some fine print in there that says if Zach Moss plays like Jonathan Taylor, then the contract reverts to Moss. So maybe they should have done that because Moss clearly he's fine. Like, they paid Taylor Moss just did exactly what you want from Taylor. Taylor's going to get ramped up, and it's at worst going to be an even split, but it should be Taylor getting all the snaps because now he's paid guaranteed money. So don't worry about Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor's going to be fine. But we warned you that when they say the guy's not going to play the full snaps, you got to remember that that's possible, right? Jacksonville Jaguars came out 66 snaps, so exactly average. This game was exactly average. They beat the Bills, which is cool, playing on that terrible turf over in London. Calvin Ridley and Christian Kirk continued their full snap shares. Zay Jones returned, but he left the game. So whenever Zay Jones is out, Tim Jones plays. Tim Jones can't really use him anywhere. He's just okay, right? So we'll monitor Zay Jones, see what's up with him if he's going to be back this week. But you know the deal. Kirk, Ridley, Zay Jones. Evan Ingram, 75 of 88 snaps, 39 of 47 routes. He's the guy, man. He's one of the most reliable options that you have at tight end right now. He got 8 targets. Didn't really do too much with them, but I mean, who cares? It's not like you're starting him every week if you have him. Like, there's no reason not to. No reason not to. So get Ingram in there, unless you have crazy combinations. Like some people came to me and they were like, "Oh, I read your article. I drafted Evan Ingram and I drafted Sam Laporta. What should I do? Should I just hang on to both of them?" In that instance, unfortunately, I say you got to trade one. And the big reason being, those dudes have the same bye week. So what are you going to do? Hold on to 2 tight ends and then pick up a 3rd tight end for week 9 or whatever it is? Got to trade one of those guys. My policy on trading when I have 2 guys like that is to not rule anything out. I bring it to a team that needs a tight end and I say, "Hey, I have 2 tight ends. Who do you want? I'll trade either one." Never say I'm only trading this guy and I'm not trading that guy, because then mentally they say, "Oh, well, I don't want that guy. I want the guy you don't want to trade." So just say, "Hey, I'm willing to trade both. This guy's more expensive than that guy." Tell him Ingram's more expensive than Laporta, or vice versa, whatever you want to do to steer it your way, but use that to your advantage. Travis Etienne, he played just an awesome 73 of 88 snaps. Sorry about that. When I said 66 total snaps. They actually played 88, so well above average for this team. Sorry about that. But yeah, 73 of 88 for Travis Etienne. So there is no split with Tank Bigsby. Don't worry about Tank Bigsby. Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver rotation is bothering me with this team as well. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, 43 of 66 snaps. Just who cares, man? Like Marquez Valdez-Scantling got one target. He's out there to be a field stretcher. Justin Watson, he made a nice play, but he's out there to be a blocker. The only two guys I'm interested in right now are Sky Moore and Rashee Rice. Kadarius Toney, he just doesn't play enough, man. And Rashee Rice, dude, he goes out, plays, he had 5 targets on 10 rounds. Like at this point, teams got to know when he's in the game, he's getting the ball. So they need to ramp Rashee Rice up, man. Just unleash the guy. Travis Kelce had the ankle injury. They're saying it's a lower ankle sprain. Basically, a lower ankle sprain is it's a rolled ankle. And the high ankle sprain, that's a scary one where it's like your leg actually twists to the point where a lot of times it's actually a broken bone that you end up with. And you got to have the tightrope surgery and all that. So low ankle sprains we're not worried about. That's just a rolled ankle. He should be fine. But if he's out, Noah Gray is an option. We watched Noah Gray first week of the year. Basically, they say, hey, you're Travis Kelce now. And he looked okay. I mean, he's not Travis Kelce, but I mean, in this tight end landscape, somebody pretending to be Travis Kelce is actually probably a top 10 tight end in this league. So got to have him in there, man. Jack, what's up in the chat? CJ, what's going on? Is Christian Kirk a weekly start now? Also thinking what we're thinking about the performance there. Yeah, the problem there is that, 88 snaps and 50 pass plays. Kirk ran 43 of 50 routes, which is good. He got 14 targets. So Kirk, you can definitely trust him, but they're not going to do that every week. 88 is well above average. That's, 13 more plays than the average team would, 23 more plays than the average team runs, right? So they're going to have weeks where he's just okay. But yeah, Kirk, you definitely get him in there. I mean, you at this point, like in leagues with 3 wide receivers in a flex, how is Christian Kirk not in your lineup? That's the thing. It's 3 wide receiver leagues. There's not 36 good wide receivers, man. Not every team even has 1 good wide receiver. So Kirk is definitely a guy I'm starting in a bunch of spots. Pacheco got the carries, split the pass work evenly with McKinnon. So McKinnon, not necessarily dead, but he's basically getting half of a role. So of the running back job, he has half of that job. So Pacheco gets the carries and half the pass work. That means Pacheco's the man, and McKinnon's the guy that you just don't throw out there. So there you go. Las Vegas Raiders, they play tonight. So no snaps for them. Los Angeles Chargers, they were on bye, so no snaps for them. Los Angeles Rams, man, this one is huge because Cooper Kupp got 14 targets. Puka Nacua got 11. These guys can live together. They can coexist. Van Jefferson went straight to the bench. He played 2 snaps. So it's Tutu Atwell on the outside as a field stretcher, Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp mixing and matching as slot and flanker. Excellent, man. This team only played 56 snaps, but they had their back against the ropes the whole game. So you had 42 routes run. So even though they're a below average number of snaps, they had a above average number of pass plays. So it kind of evens itself out. But I mean, this is probably what we're looking at. Cooper Kupp ahead of Puka Nacua in the rankings, but in games where Kupp gets 14 targets, he gets 11. In games where Kupp gets 10, he probably gets 8. In games where Kupp only has 7, Puka probably has like 5. Or maybe there will be games. There probably will be games where Puka gets more targets than Cooper Kupp. But Kupp is obviously the favorite, but they're not. They thank goodness they didn't say, hey, Puka, we're just done with you. They're saying, hey, guess what? We got 2 of these guys now. And that's great news from Matt Stafford. So Stafford probably needs to be rostered in just about every league, if you ask me. And the leagues where I lost Anthony Richardson, I'm probably going to splash money on any of those where Stafford is still hanging out there. Kyron Williams still clearly the guy. Played 47 snaps. Ronnie Rivers played 9. Who cares about Ronnie Rivers? And Tyler Higbee, I just can't trust that guy. Can't trust him, especially now that they have 2 Cooper Kupps. I mean, what the heck? If they have 2 Cooper Kupps and Tutu Atwell is still scoring touchdowns, how in the world can we trust Tyler Higbee? He's a guy that disappears to block on pass plays at times as well. So just don't worry about Tyler Higbee. Done with Tyler Higbee. Done. Miami Dolphins, next team in order, going alphabetical order. Anyone tuning in now, again, check the timestamps when they go up. When this video is done, you can go back and check whatever team you missed. It'll be alphabetical order by city, and also the timestamps will be in there. Keith, imagine you've put down the spoon now, and you hopefully are keeping track of the teams. Otherwise, we'll go back and do it together. but we'll have those timestamps in there for you guys. Tyreek Hill, awesome, man. And dude, so funny. He came out and said, not sure if you guys saw it, but Tyreek Hill said that Devon Achan is not even the second fastest on the team. He said that there's a guy in the practice squad, a white defensive back, which is, cool. I thought were extinct. This guy, Ethan Bonner, he said that he's the second fastest guy and Achan is third. So we'll be interested to see how he responds to that. I'm interested to see what, because Achan will definitely say something. He probably has already. If he has already, put it in the chat. I want to know what he had to say about that. But yeah, Tyreek cracking me up, man. There's another example of one of those teams, though. They use Alec Ingold at fullback so much that it's just Waddle and Hill. When it's like a blowout or whatever, you'll see some Cedric Wilson. You'll see some Braxton Berrios and Robbie Chosen and whoever. Don't worry about those guys. It's a two-man show with Waddle and Hill. They, both got 9 and 10 targets, and they did their thing. Durham Smythe, no targets this week. That hurts because, he's got that plays every snap and runs a decent number of routes. He ran 28 of 32 routes. He ran the same number of routes as Jalen Waddle, ran more than Tyreek Hill, but he's just not that good. So he has he's supposed to have an okay floor. He usually gets 3 or 4 targets. This week, none. So whatever. And then Mostert and Achan, we just have to accept that both these players are good, and they're both very similar, and they're both going to play all the time, and they're both going to split all the snaps, and they're going to split the routes run. 17 routes for Mostert, 15 for Achan, 10 carries for Mostert, 11 for Achan. No reason not to split it right down the middle. And guess what? I'm going to start them both wherever I have them because they're great. So what are you going to do? So Chosen did play this week, Chris Alves. I see in the chat, inactive sometimes. They make him active. Sometimes he doesn't really play. But in the blowouts, he goes in and plays. So again, this week he played 10 snaps. So there you go. And there's Kevin Tompkins, Achan, my bat signal. Yeah, Achan, 0 RB hero. If you play the 0 RB game and you got Mostert, you got Achan, got to be feeling good about that. Minnesota Vikings, gotta love what they do in general. They're another team that use like the same guys every play, just like the Bengals. So we know who the characters are. Now with Justin Jefferson maybe missing time with the hamstring, that's going to open the door for Jordan Addison and KJ Osborne to do something. And we got some information that's important for fantasy is that when JJ hurt his hamstring, he actually went to the sideline and signaled for his backup. He knows who his backup is. It's Brandon Powell, right? Everyone knows, but we didn't really know that before. But clearly he went right to Powell and said, hey, you're in because I'm hurt. So they've already talked about that. There's a pecking order. So it's probably going to be Brandon Allen next. And yeah, Chris Alves, Allison, Jordan Addison in the chat. Jordan Addison looked good. He looked gooped, as you say there, dude. He looked gooped up, souped up, gooped up. So we're amped up on Addison because he hadn't been playing as many snaps as Osborne. Once again, didn't play as many snaps as Osborne. But if Jefferson's out, it doesn't matter. They're both going to play the whole game, and Brandon Powell is going to be the third guy. Or, N'Keal Harry probably play a couple snaps, but I doubt it. So there you go. TJ Hawkinson, awesome. Josh Oliver, big waste of money, but he's out there doing his blocking thing. And CJ Ham plays a little bit. So that's why the third wide receiver, Brandon Powell, don't get too excited. Brandon Powell is probably still going to be a guy that only plays a partial snap share because they like using Josh Oliver and Johnny Munt and all these other guys. Cam Akers got more carries. He got more pass plays by far, 21 routes to only 8 for – Alexander Madison, more carries, more routes. Cam Akers, just kind of the backup. Maybe they're getting him ramped up, but as of now, just on backup duty. So can't really do much about Cam Akers. Patriots, 54 snaps in an absolute rout. They got crushed, man. Mac Jones got benched again. They probably should just start Bailey Zappi. We'll see. Maybe they're just going to bench Mac Jones at the halfway point of every single game this year. I just want this team at this point see some of the Boston stuff behind me. As a Patriots fan, I just want this team to lose as much as possible. Give me Caleb Williams. Give me Drake May. Trade up to get that pick if you have to. Do whatever you have to. Like if this team can come in dead last and get that player, Caleb Williams especially, man. But Drake May, I'd take him too, dude. Who's the third best quarterback? I don't care. Who's the fifth best quarterback? Doesn't matter. Give me that guy. You need a new quarterback, man. Mac Jones, he's just not working, dude. He's just not working. At wide receiver, Devontae Parker led in snaps again. He's going to do that pretty much all the time and make some kind of a sneaky play when he's not getting crushed by incredible cornerbacks, which has happened for a couple weeks now. I mean, what is he going to do against Sauce Gardner? He even got targets somehow. You know what I mean? So there you go. I know one of them came against the guy filling in for DJ Reed. DJ Reed was out with a concussion, but still, like Parker is going to at some point have a game where somebody wins a bunch of money in DraftKings because they started him. I'm calling it right now. Just a random game. You might not know when it's going to be, but it's going to happen. So just be ready for that game. Juju left with a concussion. So did Pop Douglas. Demario Douglas, his nickname is Pop. And he has looked fun. He's looked explosive, but, gets hurt. So what are you going to do? It's going to end up being if Juju and Pop are out, then now you're looking at Devontae Parker and Kendrick Bourne, and then probably Ty Montgomery. I mean, he's probably the next pass catcher there. Maybe you'll see more Mike Gesicki. I'll tell you what on Mike Gesicki, though. Mike Gesicki needs to fire his agent out of a cannon into the sun because this guy, first he gets franchise tagged as a tight end when he was playing 90% of his carries at 90% of his snaps were at wide receiver, and his agent let him get franchise tagged as a tight end, which cost him obviously a bunch of money. I know it's hard to fight that, but still, if anyone could have ever fought it, it would have been him that year, and he didn't do it. Then he was complaining about having a partial snap share on the Dolphins, and he could have signed with any team. He was a free agent. He signed with the Patriots, and he played 16 of 54 snaps this week. So he allowed himself to go from a partial job to another team that used him in a partial job. Like he could have found a team where he would have played. And instead, he picked this team. Just crazy. Crazy. Hunter Henry played 42 snaps to 16 for Mike Gesicki. So Mike Gesicki cannot be trusted in any capacity. Hunter Henry, this is a terrible matchup for tight ends. We said that we're using Gesicki in DFS over Henry this week, hoping that Gesicki would get Alontae Taylor. And he did get 4 targets. Henry only got 2 because Henry's going up against Demario Davis and, Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger. The Saints are a terrible matchup for tight ends, as we talked about with the Bills, where it's like Matt Milano and Jordan Poyer. The Saints have that too. So you just don't want to start tight ends against this team. The running backs, I mean, it was a blowout. So they put in the backups. Zeke got more work with the backups, but you got to just hold your nose and start Mondre where you have him, hoping that you get a normal game at some point. The Saints, next team in alphabetical order, New England Patriots, New Orleans Saints. And the Saints, man, it was a good game for them. They crushed. Olave and Michael Thomas played their full snap shares. Rashid Shaheed, partial snap share player still. And again, very boom bust. Probably one of the players where's the biggest difference for me if I ever do best ball and standard rankings, Shaheed's like here. If I do my PPR and half PPR rankings, got to move him way down because he doesn't play as many snaps. He's a high ADOT player. So he's not going to get peppered with targets unless Olave or MT go down. Alvin Kamara, he's a star. He didn't have to do too much this week, but you just start Alvin Kamara everywhere you have him, obviously. I mean, he's excellent. He had 13 targets the week before. This week he scores a touchdown. So there you go. Good. If you drafted him and got a discount on him, got to be feeling good right now. Juwan Johnson was out. They just mixed and matched Foster Moreau and Taysom Hill and Jimmy Graham. Don't worry about any of that. I'm done hearing about Taysom Hill. Never ask me a Taysom Hill question ever again. Ever again. Unless he's playing quarterback. Unless he's the starting quarterback, then you can start him at tight end in your fantasy leagues. Otherwise, don't want to hear about it. In the chat, quick, better Pop, Douglas or Pacheco? I'm a Patriots fan, so I got to pick Pop Douglas. But Pacheco's obviously good too. Gordon asks, should I trade Derrick Henry and Michael Thomas for Addison, Madison, and Ayuk? Yeah, do that immediately. And I'm a big Michael Thomas guy, but if you can get away with that right now, I would do it because Madison probably has he's not nearly as good as Henry, and he obviously makes mistakes all the time, but he's still getting more work. So of course we worry if he keeps making mistakes, the drops, the fumbles, all that, maybe he loses the job. But if you have other running backs that are pretty decent and Madison is your running back 3 or 4, then I do that, man, because it's looking like wheels up for Addison with JJ out and Ayuk. I mean, Ayuk is crazy talented, man. So last question, give Pollard for Eckler straight up in Dynasty if contending? No, keep Pollard, man. Pollard is just Eckler's upside isn't that much higher than Pollard's. Truly, it's not because we don't have, this isn't the Joe Lombardi offense anymore. They don't. Last year you had Joe Lombardi calling the plays with a quarterback that had injured ribs, so it was just dumped down city. It's not going to be like that this year with the new coordinator. Like they're not going to do it. So Yeah. Keith, do we have programming after this, or can we go a little bit long? Let me know in the chat. But we still have a few teams left to do. So if they have something programmed, let me know. But otherwise, I'm just going to keep talking about football for a little bit, if that's all right with you. Let me know, Keith. So the Saints is what it is there. No tight end from this team until Juwan Johnson's back, and we couldn't even trust Juwan Johnson, so forget that. New York Giants, 73 total snaps. They caught a bit of a whooping from the Miami fastest show on turf. Yeah, we got no other programming, so I'm just gonna finish these teams out, dude. No breaks, no nothing, just football. This is what we do on Monday to get set for the week. Like we go through and we say, okay, here we go. This is everything that happened. Good. Now, tomorrow, with Howard Bender and I on Alarm Fantasy Football, all your waiver questions. We cover everything today on what happened. Here's who we're picking up. That's what we're doing on Tuesday. On Wednesday, trades. All trade questions all day. Let's let the dust settle from waivers, see who we got, see who we didn't, plug all the holes in our leaky ships for injuries and for bye weeks, and then we move on to Thursday. Thursday is where we set the lineup. So Tuesday and Wednesday, we build the line, we build the roster. Thursday, we focus on setting the lineup. And with that, we do questions from 2 to 3, me and Howard. And then from 7 to 8, right before the game, me and John and Pemba go live. And just make sure anyone that's got a player playing on Thursday, there's no excuse because we do an hour straight of answering those questions. And then on Friday, we go through the entire slate and tell you where you can get some bets in. That's the other show where I bring a guest on Fridays on this show. And we go through and we look at every game. And we say, here's what we're betting on. This game has nothing to bet on. And then we make an FFPC lineup. So by the end of the week, man, you're ready to rock, dude. You're just hanging back on Saturday watching college football. And on Sunday, you're winning moolah. So that's how we roll. So let's finish it up and just finish this show so that we have a solid base going into what we need to get done to win these leagues, man. So Giants caught a whooping. Darius Slayton led in snaps. Wan'Dale Robinson, what? Dude, this was the week, man. This was the Wan'Dale Robinson week, and he suffered a concussion. So hopefully he can clear protocol and get back, but we saw it, man. He came back, played 22% of the snaps, and had 5 targets. On this show, we said, that's promising. He's back. He's getting looked. The next week, so this was last Monday, I said, this guy just played 60% of the snaps and got 6 targets. So he goes 22, 5, 66. When they put him in the game, he's getting the ball. Just wait till that gets up to 70, 80. This week, ramped up, 48 snaps. Then he gets a concussion. And he had 6 targets, and he got a carry. He was fully unleashed, and then he got hurt again. So he ended up only playing 48 of 73 snaps. But this guy, man, get him where if he's out there still, you got to get him on your rosters. He's going to be a full-time guy. And the nice thing is they're kind of done with the Isaiah Hodgins, Sterling Shepard, Paris Campbell. Those guys all played less than 50% of the snaps. Jalen Hyatt played 33. Jalen Hyatt ran 27 routes. That was second only to Darius Slayton. Double the number for Isaiah Hodgins. Jalen Hyatt, another guy that you want to just kind of stash there, dude. So there you go. Darren Waller, we told you to hang on to him. This is why. 11 targets. This is what this guy does. He's capable of even more than that, So there you go. Hopefully no one dropped Darren Waller. Like nobody that watches this show dropped Darren Waller. They didn't drop Darren Waller. They didn't drop Kyle Pitts. They didn't drop Dallas Goedert because we'll talk about him shortly, but I told you not to drop him, even though we weren't drafting him. And then running back, you know the deal, man. If Eric Gray got a little work because it was a blowout, but it's Matt Breida anytime Barkley's out. Hopefully Barkley's back soon. New York Jets 65 snaps. It was Alan Lazard, Garrett Wilson, Randall Cobb in the slot. Can't trust Lazard. So it's if you start anyone, it's Garrett Wilson. That's it. At tight end, I'm not interested in Tyler Conklin or CJ Uzoma. 36 snaps for Conklin, 29 for Uzoma, out of 65. Jeremy Ruckert played a little too. Just no, don't do it. Breece Hall, awesome, amazing. 22 carries, only 6 for Dalvin, 1 for Michael Carter. Only rub here, the only rub is Michael Carter he ran 17 routes and Breece Hall ran 10. Not what we want, man. Not what we want to see. So, this was a crazy game. Jets fans got to be pumped, but for fantasy football, I want Breece Hall to just get all the high leverage plays, all the major snaps. I don't want Michael Carter in any capacity running more routes than Breece Hall. And it's not like it was 11 routes to 10. It was 17 to 10. So Breece Hall, obviously still, you start him everywhere now. You can't, he's basically kind of it's like a DeAndre Swift setup where, the next team in alphabetical order here after the New York Jets is the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'll talk about DeAndre Swift, where Swift went out, got the bulk of the carries. Kenneth Gainwell, the one thing he did is he played a bunch of pass snaps, and he is the better pass blocker, it seems. Gainwell was asked to pass block 9 times, only 1 for Swift. And you might say, oh, who cares? Let him pass block. Pass block plays aren't important, but they are, because when it comes to the 2-minute drill, you might see a situation where Gainwell gets all those snaps because he's the better pass blocker. He understands the schemes better. He understands the audibles better. And if you lose those set of plays, then you lose them all because there's no time to substitute. You can't sit here and say, okay, we're going to pass block with Gainwell, but then we're going to swap him out for Swift in the 2-minute drill. That's not how it works, man. Sometimes you're calling 3 plays in the huddle, and then you're running those 3 plays, and you're audibling out. You can't get to the line and say, oh, man, we need to audible here. Is there any way we can take Swift out and get Gainwell in because he's a better pass blocker? Not how it works. So we got to keep an eye on that for Swift. Obviously, you start Swift anyway because he's just capable of monster games, but one part of the game that is not his job. So we'll keep an eye out. Hopefully, Swift just takes over everything. A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, start him everywhere. Quez Watkins came back, sending Olamide Zacchaeus to the bench. We told you that would happen. It did happen. Quez Watkins, no interest in him in fantasy football. Dallas Goedert, we told you to keep him specifically because when you look at the big middle group of players, where I put Goddard right now, with like the Jake Fergusons and all these guys, the difference between Goddard and Jake Ferguson is that if a wide receiver gets hurt for the Eagles, it is full on wheels up for Dallas Goedert. Whereas if a wide receiver gets hurt for the Cowboys, it doesn't really send Jake Ferguson to the moon. It doesn't send half these other tight ends, like they're just not capable of going to the next level. Like, how many wide receivers need to get hurt for Gerald Everett to all of a sudden be a focal point of that team? I mean, last year 2 did, and he wasn't. This year, one of their best wide receivers got hurt. He didn't even play a full snap share. And the other tight end sprained his wrist if he didn't do really anything. So Dallas Goedert has that extra handcuff plus advantage. He also played 75 of 79 snaps, and he got 9 targets. So Dallas Goedert's a guy where you just got to hold your nose and start him. And if something happens, now you have a super high-end difference-making tight end. That was the appeal of Goddard, but we weren't drafting that because we don't draft handcuffs. That's why he was in the fade article. But like what we were doing pre-draft, you have to separate that from what we're doing midseason. Pittsburgh Steelers, 66 snaps. George Pickens played 58. Allen Robinson, 57. Calvin Austin, 37. They have a bye week next week, and then Deontay Johnson is potentially back. So you're going to see Calvin Austin probably go back to the bench. And obviously Deontay Johnson is a target machine, 140 plus targets 3 years in a row. So George Pickens and Allen Robinson will still play, but just got to take those targets and just kind of take a chunk of them and give them to Deontay Johnson, right? Like if Calvin Austin got 1 target in this game. If Deontay Johnson was in this game, then you don't have enough targets to give Pickens 10 and Allen Robinson 9, so keep that in mind. Pat Freiermuth, we already told you could drop him if you had to, but if you could sneak him in an IR spot, that's what you want to do. But again, Deontay Johnson will be back. Connor Hayward ran 18 routes. Darnell Washington ran 18. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't trust him. I mean, they're on bye week next week anyway, so Muth will probably be back. Najee Harris, Jalen Warren, everyone's least favorite split because everyone has the guy that they want to see play more, and it's just never going to happen. Najee's the early down back that gets all the carries. Jalen Warren plays more pass work. We know what the deal is. That's not going to change, man. They're not just going to all of a sudden one day say, hey, you know what? Let's just make the fantasy players happy. Let's just bench one of our 2 running backs just to make fantasy football and Twitter happy. So way she goes. San Francisco 49ers, 71 snaps. Ayuk, Debo, awesome. We talked about this team already. They use Kyle Juszczyk. So Juwan Jennings is a partial snap share player, only 27 of 71 snaps. There's no third wide receiver. This game was a big blowout. So Jordan Mason got to play some, got some carries. Shout out to LQ, the only Jordan Mason fan I know, or at least the biggest. You had your special day, man. Congratulations. But normally it's going to be Christian McCaffrey every snap. Kittle, we know what the deal is. He's used when necessary. So if the Cowboys could have put up a fight here, he probably could have even had a bigger game. But they didn't really do anything. So he just scored 2 touchdowns on 3 targets. And then they said, hey, you know what? Why don't you just hang out? No reason to get you hurt here. Seattle Seahawks were on bye. Tampa Bay Buccaneers were on bye. Tennessee Titans, DeAndre Hopkins finally playing a big snap share. The ankle must be feeling better because he played 51 of 61 snaps, 36 of 37 routes, 11 targets. DeAndre Hopkins, I think he was hurt, and now he's back. I mean, only real explanation for it. So got to be feeling good there. We're not going to mess with Chris Moore or Nick Westbrook or Keeney. Treylon Burks is, keep an eye on him and hope for the best, but only in the deepest leagues can you really trust a guy like that. And Chigakonkwo, we thought he might have a good week last week. This week he comes out, has 8 targets, only ran 24 of 37 routes though. So he had 36 for Hopkins, 24 for Chig. That's not really going to cut it for us. Even as a big Chig fan, not enough. So Chig, only a DFS start throw when Treylon Burks is out. Derrick Henry, bulk of the carries. Tajay Spears, a couple extra pass routes that Henry, but again, we've talked about this one. It hasn't changed. They obviously Henry's the king, the king of carries, and Tajay Spears is the prince of pass downs. That's the deal. Last team here, we made it through. Washington Commanders, 70 snaps total as a team. McLaurin, Dotson, Curtis Samuel, those are the guys. De'Ami Brown, we know exactly what he is. He's a field stretcher. He comes in and has the speed. He runs the deep routes. He hurt everybody in DFS on Thursday because he almost caught that pass. Our boy, our boy Troy King would have won big money had he caught that pass. It was big. The guy that won was Antonio Gibson is the guy he had in that spot versus Troy. They had the same lineups. The guy won $1 million. Troy would have won if he caught that pass, assuming the rest of the game would have gone the same, but still. De'Ami Brown, just a field stretcher. You can't trust him. He only played 17 of 70 snaps. So there you go. Logan Thomas, though, that's our boy. Told you he was going to have a good game versus A.B. Jackson. We were right. 55 of 70 snaps, 47 routes was more than Jahan Dotson and right behind Terry McLaurin. So Logan Thomas got to be feeling good with Eric Bieniemy's offense. And then the running backs, they did what we see oftentimes in these scripts. This is the concern I talked about with DeAndre Swift and Kenneth Gainwell is that the one role that Antonio Gibson has is 2-minute drill. So Brian Robinson gets the pass work and they kind of split third downs evenly. But when it gets into 2-minute drill situations, it's Antonio Gibson. That's what we had this week. He played 38 snaps to 25 for Brian Robinson. So there you go, man. That's the rundown. That's the slate. Now we're up to speed. We get to watch Monday Night Football. Keep an eye out for the big narratives from this standpoint, from what we do on this show for tonight is watch the with the Raiders, we know what the deal is. It's Devontae Adams, it's Jacoby Myers. They use Jakob Johnson, Hunter Renfrow hardly plays, and Josh Jacobs is the dude. So we know who the 3 dudes are there. We just hope that Jimmy G can support an offense that gets them all going. But that team is easy. It's this Packers team where what I want to see Dontavian Wicks go to the bench, and it's Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs on the outside with Jaden Reed in the slot and Luke Musgrave playing the tight end role and also playing a little slot. Then we have to see where the targets go. But if Dontavian Wicks is going to stay in the mix, that could just muddle everything up. I just want him to go away. And ideally, you see a lot of I want it to be the target leaders to be Dobbs. Even though Jaden Reed is a really fun player, he's the slot guy and he comes out of the game for 2 wide receiver sets. So I'd love for it to really be a lot of targets to Watson and Doubs and Luke Musgrave. But let's keep an eye on that tonight. I'll post something tomorrow with the snaps on that. But that's the rundown of the entire slate. I want to say thank you guys for hanging out in the chat. Hal, Scamp, Classic FN, Ani Coop, Chris Alsman, all you guys, Kev Tompkins, the whole gang. Really appreciate you guys coming through. Troy, Dustin, thank you guys. You guys, hanging out with us, man. It means the world. And the people that hang out on Monday, those are the people that care the most. You should see on Sunday morning, everybody's in here and they want all the answers. They want, who do I start? This, that. You guys that hang out with us all week, man, you guys already know who to start. I don't have to answer too many questions for a guy like Scampers. Obviously, you guys, want things, I have start-sit questions where I want to bounce the questions off other people. I ask Howard, John and Pemba, Kev Tompkins, whatever. Of course, it's cool to ask questions, but if you're paying attention to these shows, doing all this stuff, then you're just going to dominate your leagues anyway. And you don't really need that much help. So thank you guys for tuning in. You guys are the best, man. And make sure, use the promo code Coop over at MyFFPC. Get set up over there. Not only is it a lot of fun, but it helps me out. That is one way to support me and support this show is to, I love playing on that platform. That's why we approached them and we're like, hey, you know what? Like, why don't we do a little sponsorship deal? Because I love your setup. I like it better than the other DFS. But like, if you want to help me out, you know what? Do a little deposit over there. It makes me look good using promo code Coop at MyFFPC, and they'll give you $25 when you deposit 35 or more. So it helps everybody out. It's a fun game to play. We're going to play anyway. So appreciate you guys. Keith, you're the man, dude. Thanks for everything. And we'll catch you guys on Friday. Just one last thing. On Friday, I'm doing I do this like guest lecture at my college at Bentley, just this little thing I do once a year. So my show is going to be at 2:00 and Britt's is going to be at 1:00. So we're doing a little flip to accommodate that. So I'll see you guys on Friday. Thank you.